Welcome to Below the Breadline. Welcome to Below the Breadline. This channel is not about pity, and it is not about complaining. It is about honesty, about survival, and most importantly, about hope. The strangest thing happened to me the other week. I was in the middle of eating some rice, nothing fancy, just rice with spices added to it, no vegetables, meat or anything like that to go with it. But as I ate, I suddenly felt a lump in my throat, then shortly after tears started streaming from my eyes. I paused for a second. Was I crying? It was in that moment that I realized nothing technically bad had happened. I was crying because it was the first time in nearly a year I was eating something remotely close to a decent meal. It was not a fancy takeaway, not a lovely Savoy and chips. Just plain rice drizzled in a few spices. I broke down because I felt so grateful. Because that small, simple plate reminded me of how far things had slipped. How something once so ordinary, a regular staple meal in a home, had become a luxury. I am sharing this not to gain sympathy, but because, when I have found myself at the verge of giving up, I am reminded that it could be a lot worse. This then made me realize that if I am going through this, and there are others that might be going through something similar or worse, do they have a support system? Are they like me without a support system? I know there are others living like this too. Quietly, silently, and maybe even ashamed. So I thought perhaps, because we do not have anyone to lean on, we could lean on each other and give each other hope. If that is you, please hear me when I say, you are not alone. Do not give up hope. This is something that we are going through, not staying in, and I would like to remain hopeful that we shall come out the other end and be more than okay. You are probably curious and asking yourself, how bad are things that rice should feel like a rare luxury? Well, for me, to cut a long story short, I used to work in the care sector, and with time, dealing with the loss of the residents we were tasked to care for, took a toll on my mental health. My mental health declined so much to the point where I became a recluse and could not leave my house, but worse, I started entertaining thoughts of self-exiting, but I honestly thank God for holding on to me and helping me see that no matter how bleak things are, there is still hope. Amidst of all of that, not working meant having to rely on universal credit, and for those who enjoy being able to work, you all know how much of a trap that can be and feel like. If that was not enough, my landlord increased my rent by nearly £300, and housing has a cap on what they can assist with, which means I have to make up the shortfall from the universal payment I receive. Currently, my main focus is to stay afloat by ensuring all my bills are paid, and that means things like food cannot be a priority for me. I have always felt that these organizations and companies never understand no matter how bad things are for you. So rather than trying to plead my case, I simply comply. The main luxury item I am paying for each month is my internet, because at least it has given me the opportunity to be able to do this. I currently live on bread and tea pretty much every day, and I have gotten accustomed to it. Butter is not so cheap anymore, so I buy butter only once in a while. The bread I buy is from Tesco and it costs 49p a loaf, so I simply buy enough loaves to last me a month and I freeze them and defrost them when I need another loaf. The tea I buy is herbal tea, and as it is known to have health benefits, I think that has been helpful, as I am aware that sometimes I feel weak and lethargic because of a lack of a healthy diet. There is also the question of, why not go to a food bank and get help from there? I wish it was that easy. I do not have access to a food bank at the moment. I would have to travel away, and I can just about only manage to travel to the job centre. I do not live in London, therefore transport costs for a single bus trip are a little more dear here. But as I mentioned earlier, this channel is not so I can vent about my situation, but a means that I can use to share how I navigate living below the breadline, and how I try to stay positive and hold on to hope. I was able to seek help for my mental health, and my GP referred me to CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I have had to go through 2 bouts of sessions, meaning that I had to attend therapy for just over 4 months in total. I did find it to be very helpful. In the least, it provided me with a safe space to be able to vent and express how I felt and receive assistance on how to navigate those emotions and negative thoughts. Because of therapy, prayer, and reading my Bible, I am in much better spirits and state of mind. I have been applying for jobs. So far I have been rejected by so many. I would love to return to the care sector, but perhaps in a different capacity so that I am not affected so much as I was before. I loved my job. I loved being there for the elderly, and I miss them ever so much. Even if my mental health declined because of the job, it is an experience I would never regret or ever want to change for anything. So while I am job hunting, rather than have idle thumbs be a devil's playground, I thought about sharing tips, websites, and various means on how to navigate living below the breadline, and also possible opportunities that might be out there for those who, like me, who are trying to get back into the workforce but have not had any joy thus far. Making this channel, for me, it helps keep me busy. It helps me practice my video editing and graphics design skills, and it certainly helps me keep my mind positive and not going back to that dark place. So as much as it is helping me, I do hope that it is of help to someone, in some way, shape, or form. Now that you have a bit of background about my situation, if I may, let me share with you some of the things that have helped me a bit, particularly when it comes to stretching food. I mentioned earlier that I buy a lot of loaves of bread and I freeze them. But if you can afford a little more, try purchasing larger quantity items, like 5 kilograms sugar, 10 kilograms rice, multi-pack items that you can easily divide and portion for each day. Things like rice, I suggest you cook a lot of it at one go, and place in food bags or lunch boxes, and place in the freezer, as it saves on electricity because then you do not have to keep cooking rice every day. Instead, you only need to put it out in the morning or afternoon to defrost and microwave it for your lunch or supper. Batch cooking and freezing the food goes a long way and saves on electricity. You need to do the same with vegetables and meat items, as those foods are more perishable than rice and can be kept in the fridge for a short period of time before they go off. Shops I tend to go to are Tesco for the 49p bread, and they have jam for 45p. I also visit the Poundland to buy sugar for £1. It can also be purchased at Tesco for £1.09p, so that is not too bad. Farm Foods is great for buying a lot of frozen foods at slashed prices as low as £1. If you are looking for a place better than Iceland, it definitely is Farm Foods. Others are Lidl, Aldi, and Asda. What you in effect need to do, if any, or all of these supermarkets are anywhere near you, is hop from one to another. Do not feel that you have to be loyal to one and buy everything from them to the detriment of your budget. Feel free to hop from one to another and get better savings that way, as you will find that an item that is cheaper in Tesco will be more in Asda, and then you find that another item will be more in Asda than it is in Tesco, and so on. This is what I did before my budget shrunk to where it is now. I downloaded all their apps. Farm Foods, Lidl, and Poundland do not have grocery apps, but Lidl and Poundland have discount voucher apps. Otherwise, you can find their item prices on their websites. I use that pricing information to decide where to shop for the cheapest items. The basics for maintaining low energy bills is to switch off any appliances not in use at the plug. I keep all the lights in the rooms I am not occupying off. I also do not use the drying cycle of my washing machine as it is a combo washer-dryer. The reason why I stick to bread is in part because I do not need to cook it. My stove drains a lot of electricity even if I use it for a few minutes, so I avoid using it as much as I can. My bathroom has an electric shower that I stopped using. Instead, as I have a boiler that heats the water twice a day, using water from the tub is more efficient for me, because the water stays hot regardless, so using more or less of it makes no difference to my electricity in that aspect. I use a smaller dish in the bathtub so that I do not use more water than I need to. I use the first fill to lather, and the second fill to rinse. I am hoping to be able to afford the shower hose that connects to bathtub taps. That way I will still be able to have a shower and keep saving on electricity. There is a lot of support around for those who might not be aware. The Trussell Trust runs food banks across the country. There is not one near me, unfortunately. Citizens Advice Bureau, CAB, can point you toward emergency grants and schemes. With CAB I do think that all depends on the agent you get. Some are more helpful than others, but do try them if you can. And finally, Turn to Us can help you check if you are missing out on benefits or other help. Turn to Us have been very helpful to me in the past, so I definitely highly recommend them. I have placed all the necessary links in the video description. Living life below the breadline is certainly hard. It is one of those situations where you cannot help but ask yourself, how did I get to this when I was working hard and trying to do everything right? I would like this channel to remind you, there is hope, even here. There is strength in surviving. And there is a quiet power in honesty. So if you are watching this, do not give up. We may be struggling right now, but we are still here. That means something. We are still standing. And we are still moving forward. If this has spoken to you, please consider clicking on the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Leave your comments below, and share it with someone who might need to hear it.